Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Sword. Ian Rappaport this morning broke the news that it looks like Will Levis is going to start. Ryan Tannehill, obviously unlikely to play. This is between him or Malik Willis, but it looks like we're going to get the rookie for his first career start against this Falcons defense that looks as good as any through the first 7 weeks. How confident are you right now that the Falcons can go on the road, beat a Tennessee team that's going to be starting a rookie quarterback?
A lot of Falcons fans may have that like PTSD feeling where what can go wrong will go wrong. Will Levis, first career start, just dices up the Falcons defense. That's not the case anymore. Not in the year of our Lord 2023. Our Lord is Ryan Nielsen. This defense is for real. And this Titans offense is the exact opposite. Will Levis is being thrown into the fire, and literally thrown into the fire. David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett going to be chomping at the bit to get to that rookie quarterback. You couldn't really draw up a worse situation for a rookie quarterback to make an NFL debut in today's day and age. The Titans don't have much going offensively. They're kind of fire sailing it. They're 2-4, sitting at the bottom of the AFC South. They just traded a starting safety, Kevin Byard. And they look like they could be selling more pieces, mentions of Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, yada, yada, yada. The fact of the matter is Will Levis is going to be in a fight for his life because this Falcons defense is pressuring opposing quarterbacks against much better offensive lines than the Tennessee Titans have at some of the highest rates in the NFL. They're top 10 in pressure rate. They're great on third downs. They get off the field when they need to. And in the red zones, they're stingy. They don't give up touchdowns. They force field goals. It's going to be hell for Will Levis on Sunday. I fully expect, what happens with Des Ridder and the Falcons offense, your guess is as good as mine. It's a roller coaster. Who knows which one's going to show up today? A couple of interceptions seems appropriate for Desmond Ridder. Hopefully there's none. But I have there was no way that the Titans offense puts up more than 2 scores.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is, like you said, a nightmare situation for Will Levis, but I am intrigued by the fact that there is not a better coach in the NFL than Mike Vrabel at playing from an underdog role. And then if you look at this line, it's super sketchy. I think it's like still 2.5. I know the Falcons are road favorites. They haven't won on the road outside of last week. Desmond Ridder, he gives up 3 fumbles, but they still win behind that Falcons defense that we're talking about. But it's still been a lot of problems, especially offensively, away from home from Desmond Ridder. Can he put it together on the road for a second straight week? Because he did play well last week as a passer for the most part. He just had those boneheaded mistakes. Can he clean that up? The thing is, if there was ever a game where he is going to be asked to do basically nothing and you win the game, this is it. Like, just do the bare minimum and not turn the ball over, and the Falcons will win this game by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, execution and doing so on a basic level. The only way the Titans win this game is, as you mentioned, turning the ball over, which Desmond Ridder he's first in turnover-worthy plays, and he's second in turnover-worthy play rate. And he's never been lower than the second in either of those categories. So he's been putting the ball in harm's way his entire career. It just so happens lately those are converting into actual turnovers. So yeah, protect the ball. And, special teams, don't let them just, get insane field position on a punt return or a kick return. Those kinds of ways that's how Mike Vrabel's teams, they're grimy. They want to dirty up and muck up a game. That is how the Falcons are going to lose this game. If they just stick to the game plan and execute on a basic level, they should win this game handedly. I do agree that the line, to your point, the 2.5, it has risen to 3.5 as of lately. I assume that's the Will Levis news. Yeah. This shouldn't be that close. It really shouldn't. But to your point, Vrabel's teams get up. And in the NFL, that's how close talents are from the first team to the worst team. You see it every week where a terrible team that's in line for a top 5 draft pick ends up beating a 1-loss Super Bowl contending team. That's just the way of the NFL. If you don't wake up and prepare to do your job and then go execute it, you will absolutely lose to any team regardless of the NFL. That's just how it is, and especially true for Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans. That's just who they are.
Yeah, and another intriguing storyline, we talk about Arthur Smith. I mean, I haven't really seen it even talked about, but this is him returning to Tennessee to face his former team and his former, head coach when he was there in Mike Vrabel. Interesting to see how that plays in this matchup. But to me, I'm looking right at Arthur Smith, and this is a game the Falcons cannot lose. Like this is one of the few. This is one of those games where, and there's not been a lot of games where I've said this about the Atlanta Falcons, but they have enough talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where I know they're going to stop Will Levis from scoring points. This is a game, as a coach, you cannot lose. You have to keep your guys focused because, like you said, margins razor thin. I know Tennessee. I know they traded Kevin Byard, which is obviously a good thing for the Falcons. And I know they're selling off pieces, and it seems like they're just going to lay down like a dead dog for you. But that is not how Mike Vrabel operates. This game's still on the road. It's still a road game in the NFL against NFL players that are going to be up to play. They've heard all the talk. They're all still playing for their jobs, especially now. Now you got a bunch of guys playing for their jobs too. I mean, you got to think about that. Everyone's getting fire sailed. Everyone's looking towards next year. You got guys playing for your jobs. They're not going to lay down like a dead dog, especially a Mike Vrabel-led team. And the Falcons are a good team. They're a good team. They've shown that, especially defensively, and they've even shown some life offensively outside of the turnovers, but they're not good enough to look ahead of anybody. So I'm looking straight at the coaching to me. It's like they're not good enough to look ahead of anybody. So do not be doing this, or you're going to get caught and you're going to lose a game where you shouldn't be. And the Falcons cannot afford to do that because they have a chance right now before their bye week to really take a stranglehold on this division, be 2 games up, maybe 3-0 in the division, something like that. They can really take a stranglehold on this division. They play the Titans this week. I think they get the Vikings at home next week, and then they play the Cardinals. They can take a stranglehold on this division before the bye week. That needs to be the goal, and it needs to be the utmost 100% focus all the way through. And that I'm looking straight at Arthur Smith because I think we're leaning back towards the we like Arthur Smith thing, but I'm not 100% sold. You go out there and take care of business against some lesser teams, I'm going to feel much better about this team under Arthur Smith and his direction.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That this does seem like we're either going to point to Arthur Smith to blame, or we're going to point to him and say, good job. Back to Will Levis. This defense, though very stingy in those areas I mentioned, they haven't been as productive as some of the other top units in forcing turnovers. This is a game that they can absolutely rack up turnovers. Will Levis, listen, he hasn't played many games in the NFL. He's only played 1, and it was in the preseason. So going back to his Kentucky tape, we're not going to go in there thinking this guy's going to be the same exact guy, but he surely is going to be much closer to that guy than whatever pro he's going to be. And that guy was reckless with the football at Kentucky. At Kentucky, this is the NFL. The windows are pretty much non-existent in the NFL compared to Kentucky. He's got to throw guys open with anticipation. He hasn't had many live game reps. He hasn't been active for a single game this year for the Titans. If we ever are going to start, being in the conversation with the Browns, with the 49ers, with the top elite defenses, the top 5 defenses, it's weeks like this where the defense has got to force turnovers so that maybe, I don't know, Ritter and the offense can't get things going. The defense gives them great field position and that sort of thing. This is a great opportunity for the Falcons to start racking up turnovers.
Yeah, that's actually something I was going to mention to wrap up this segment is you see a lot of matchups in the NFL and people talk about stat padding and stuff like that, and they're talking about offensive stat padding. But this is an opportunity for the defense to stat pad. And you're talking about turnovers. You're talking about sacks. We've gotten a lot of pressure and not had a lot of sacks. But what do rookie quarterbacks often do too often, especially when they don't have great weapons or a great offensive line? Hold on to the ball too long. That's something Will Levis did at Tennessee as well. There's going to be opportunities for sacks, for turnovers. They do have an opportunity here to, just build up those stats to where, like, now we're talking about a top 10 unit, but if they play like they should and play like they have all year, they're going to get some turnovers. They're going to get some sacks, and you're going to start to see them up there in the upper echelon with those teams like the 49ers or Browns. So I'm looking at this as kind of like a stat pad game for the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I actually want to go back to Arthur Smith. We could wrap it up with this, giving you the final thoughts. We are waiting, for Arthur Smith to kind of have that solidified game where I'm here, I'm in place. We don't have many doubts anymore. He's going back to Tennessee. He wants to win this game. He wants to beat his former head coach. There's no doubt about that. So I didn't really think about it at first when you said that, but I think that this team is going to be absolutely laser focused to win this game for their head coach. They realize Calais Campbell, these veterans, they know how much this means to Arthur Smith. I feel like they're going to be laser focused. Falcons probably covered now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. I don't know how often. I know a lot of teams do the whole game ball thing, but even if the Falcons don't do that, I don't really know if they do. You definitely know if they do win this game, that game ball is going to Arthur Smith. I definitely think that's a big part of what's being preached. If it's not being preached by Arthur Smith himself, but the players aside are definitely talking about it. They want to win this game from. They want to make a statement, and I 100% agree. But if you don't get the job done, we're going to be having a lot of different conversations because all the things we just mentioned, the Will Levis, the defense being great, the motivation from the players, there should be a ton of focus here. If there's for some reason a lapse of focus and you don't get the job done on Tennessee and you fall back into second place or whatever, we're going to be having some much different conversations. Hopefully we don't have to have those conversations, but those are the conversations we are going to be having if he doesn't get it done.
Yeah, that's a really great point to end it. That there's no reason to lose this game. Absolutely no. I don't care that it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, there's absolutely no excuse for the Falcons not to win this game.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sunday. But coming up after the break, we are going to dive into this Jim Harbaugh situation at Michigan.